almost see it in some of the zeal based on what people are talking about going after President Trump here. And you mentioned the Brandenburg Principle. And we're going to see this impeachment trial of the president, too. But we also hear about other people who made speeches ahead of the Capitol Hill, riot. And them being questioned about their own words. And I think, there's a much bigger conversation that we have to have here in the concern for speech, not just with the impeachment trial. We can see that in a more public way, but for other lesser known figures who are also being accused of inciting violence.
Well, I'm writing about that. I have a new book that I'm working on called The New Censors, the censors from the hard left and progressives and the internet. And we're seeing a real attack on freedom of speech in America. And if a president were ever to be impeached for making a constitutionally protected speech, or if lawyers were to be disbarred for making constitutionally protected speeches, I think it would be the worst attack on our First Amendment since McCarthyism, and in some ways even worse than McCarthyism, because the people making the attack are our future leaders. They're young people. They're not the last dying gasp of an old McCarthyism, which is what brought forth the 1950s.
And I think about this, too. Some of those speeches to me sounded like speeches that your coach would give you prior to a game. Sometimes there's some, you can laugh at that a little bit, too. But that's eventually the road we could be going down. If they start to infringe your speech in this type of arena, then who knows where the limits are.
And it's also so selective. There have been so many progressive left-wing radical speeches in the Capitol. Take over the Capitol, show them we're strong, fight back. These kinds of rhetorical flourishes, which the Capitol really invites. And if there were ever to be a real trial on the president's speech, his defense attorney could introduce hundreds of other speeches which make the president's speech seem like pablum. He said he wanted peaceful, patriotic protest. Others have called for much more radical protests.
Right. And when you have, something that explicit in the speech, peaceful protests like that, so many people want to pick and choose the words which may or may not have incited this violence. We also now know, too, from your legal perspective. Go ahead. The
president never said peaceful or patriotic. I know that because I watch CNN and I watch PBS. And if you watch CBS, PBS, and you CNN and you watch MSNBC, the president never said peaceful protest, because that's the way we learn our history. We learn it from channels that now doctor tapes and edit things out. And so I know, and the president said peaceful and patriotic, but many Americans don't know he used those words. Many Americans don't know that when the president said there are good people on both sides, he also said, and I mean to exclude Nazis and white nationalists. Don't know that, because much of the media simply picks and chooses which words to show the American public. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but not their own facts. And CNN specializes in presenting only the facts they want to have presented to their viewers. And by the way, GBH and PBS did the same thing in a Frontline story the other day. They had both of those speeches, and in neither speech was the president, the statements were included that the president said he didn't mean neo-Nazis, he didn't mean this, and he meant peaceful protest.
I assume, Professor Dershowitz, you're speaking of the new PBS special, Frontline special, American Carnage. I've not had a chance to see that yet. We have seen so much selective editing of Trump's speeches, and it's concerning because America is not getting the full picture here. I also want to talk to you.